I mean, if we see that this is the system we have right now, and we do not have much of the resources, and of course, we cannot do it overnight, but still, I take it like teachers have the power. They can develop, they can turn the table around, and they can do something positive, and they can develop this creative thinking mindset into their students. So, how would you suggest them what a teacher can do, and what is the role of a teacher in developing this creative mindset?
So, I mean, as a teacher, okay, I can come across, let's say, students who are not prepared for the level of education which they are expecting. Yeah. So there's like it's a doubly difficult task then uh, to make them work in this at a university. So that in many ways there's like a university student, a university teacher in Pakistan have is a much more difficult task than a university teacher being in Germany or in UK. So what I do is like for my subject, what I do is, okay, these are textbooks, and these textbooks contain some ideas, and these ideas were developed by someone, I mean, 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 300 years. So the first thing is those ideas can be wrong as well. They were thought out by humans, and human can be wrong, for example. So start thinking on them on your own. That okay, why an apple would fall, or why would it not go up, for example, and it would just go down. Like so start your own thinking about things. So that's the first thing. So to make them realize that the knowledge we have is developed by humans like us, who fail many times. I mean, all the theories you see, okay, this is the most successful theory in physics. That is wonderful theory, and blah and blah and blah. But the thing is, before we reach that position, a lot of people attempted to develop theory, and most of them failed. What you see in your textbook is a very sanitized version of knowledge. So people on the way to reaching that nice theory, they failed several times, and failing is failing is a part of a learning process itself. So what I try to do is learn things starting from the minimum basic principle you can start, and then try to solve problems using the very minimum basic principles, so that you develop the whole idea on your own. So that's what you do. Of course, it takes a lot of time. It takes a hell lot of time than what you would expect for a student who would in Germany or UK, for example. If they have gone through that system, here it is very difficult to get them going in that process. Some students get it, others don't, others just completely fails. But yeah, so that's our first thing is, okay, don't memorize things, not try to memorize things. Try to develop ideas about things from the very start on your own. So each subject which is being taught, they have some very fundamental ideas. Of course, you can't do without that. Okay? You have to start with very fundamental. Okay, based on that fundamental ideas, can you build up the whole thing? Can you build up the ideas? So that's what I try to achieve in the first course I teach to the students who just come into the undergrad program.
Splendid. But tell me one thing, the way you were saying, learning failure is the part of learning. This thing is not generally acceptable by so many parents and people in Pakistan. How would you explain that? The way you said failure is the part of learning.
It's very simple. I mean, the ideas which you saw, for example, let's say Newton's law, for example, or for that matter, anything. There were laws before that. There were laws even before that. So people have been thinking about those problems. It's not like Newton was the first one to think about a falling apple. I mean, falling
Hmm.
apples have been there till thousands of years. I
Yeah.
mean,
True.
people have ideas about. For example, Aristotle had idea about why
Hmm.
an apple would fall. What Aristotle idea was like that. Okay, so everything is made of a few things: earth, fire, water, and one more thing. But so earth is the minimum state of everything. So everything wants to go to its minimum states,
Hmm.
its natural state, and that is. I mean, this was one idea. Then there are other people who came up with ideas and so on. So people thought about it, but those ideas failed. I mean, they were an attempt to explain things, but they are no longer valid ideas. They are no longer valid theories. So those
Hmm.
theories got rejected because so it's a very in science it's a very normal thing for ideas to get rejected,
Hmm.
and that's how science how knowledge progresses by so maybe something new comes up and which invalidates whatever was previously, and you update your understanding of a certain thing. So this is very much part of scientific training which you are given in, like for example, this should be that trying and failing until you get it right is the very basic of our current understanding. The things you see, the nice theories in textbooks and all of those came up after several failures, and that's a very well known. I mean, it's a very well known fact. People know about it,
Hmm.
but there's one thing people say: okay, if I think about this, I would not be able to develop the theory. For example, if a student may say, okay, I see this textbook as say this theory, and when I see a falling apple, I don't come up with that theory. So is there something wrong with me? And I would say definitely not, because that theory which was developed, it came after thinking of several hundred years of thinking. It
Hmm.
involves several hundred years of thinking. It was not just a spur of the moment thing that,
Hmm.
okay, you are just sitting and you are just immediately get a new idea. It never worked like that. So all the ideas which you see in the textbook, they have been developed by humans like us, but they developed that after several failures. So not it doesn't matter which subject it is. It can be physics,
Hmm.
it can be psychology, it can be anthropology, it can be economics. All those theories, all those ideas which are currently prevalent, they have been built upon previous ideas which got rejected eventually, and even
Hmm.
that took several hundred years to develop. So this current understanding level of human beings which you have in this at this time in 21st century, the knowledge is built upon several centuries of hard work.
Hmm.
Yeah, several failed attempts, several maybe some successful, some failed, and so failure is an integral part of the learning process.
Yeah.
And this is something which you should yeah. So one should learn to fail as well. I mean, unless you don't fail, you won't be able to succeed.
Yeah. And you have also said something which is the missing meaning in the failing is you said we should try and fail, trying and failing.
Hmm.
So tripod. I mean, when we see, I take it like I took it from your words that when we see over here failing thing, we take it like he did not try. So the first thing is that you should try and then you fail and then it's totally normal. But if you're not trying and you are getting failed for not attempting something, so of course this is just not acceptable in any society.
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
that's plain laziness. Yes, that's
Yeah.
plain laziness, which
Hmm.
like which doesn't benefit anyone, neither you, neither other people. Yeah,
True, true, true. All right.
yeah.
Atta, moving on to the last question of this interview. Tell me, what is your suggestion for the next generation or for this youth that we have nowadays? Because I was reading one saying on the social media. If we should not rely on the information that we get from the social media, but anyways, there was a good one that this is kind of a nation who complains when the TikTok gets banned, and I mean there are positive things happening. For instance, when the exams get cancelled, they feel happy. When they ban the
Hmm.
TikTok, so they are more on the complaining side. So what's your
Hmm.
suggestion for this youth that we have?
Think I would like okay. It's not only for them, but it is in general. the truth of life is that life is not easy. Basically not my idea. It's the idea of some of the best philosophers we have seen in the last couple of centuries, or even before that, some of the great persons. Even even the basis of the religion, like the big religion, is that life as a human is not easy. You have to somehow make things life bearable, not only bearable, but in such a way that you are not only beneficial for yourself, but you are also beneficial for other people. And that would be the like kind of the true meaning of life, to be successful in life. So so the thing is, life is pretty difficult. It's just not an easy thing to. And if you think, and if someone thinks that it's an easy process to live through your life, he or she is completely mistaken. It has to be taken seriously, and it has to be. You have to put a lot of effort to get to somewhere.
True.
Yes. So that's what basically I think about it. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, Atal, thank you
Mm.
so very much for your time. This was really wonderful listening to you and worth listening to you as well. The ideas that you have shared, the vision and the exposure that you've given us about the different education system and the baseline, which is the solution and the problem identified by you, but were so perfect, were the exactly what we were looking for as well. Thank you so
Mhm.
very much for your time, for your ideas, for sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice to talk to you, Farhan, as well. Yeah.
Likewise, likewise, Atal. Take care, stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.